Kravik had been raiding derelict stations for 15 cycles, and he prided himself on knowing a good score when he saw one. The Meridian Research Outpost was a beauty, floating dead in space, life support offline, distress beacons silent for months. No owners, no witnesses, no problems. Too easy, Thulos muttered through the comms as their boarding tube clamped onto the airlock. His second-in-command always was the pessimistic type. That is literally the point of easy money, Kravik shot back, checking his plasma rifle one more time. Easy means we do not get shot at. I like not getting shot at. You should try liking it sometime. The airlock cycled open with a hiss that said nobody had used it in a long, long time. Stale air rushed out, carrying that particular smell of abandoned places. Recycled oxygen gone slightly off, mixed with the metallic tang of dust settling on expensive equipment. Boren, their tech specialist, was already scanning the corridor with his handheld unit. Power grid is minimal. Emergency lighting only. Main computer core is still active though, running on backup cells. Anything valuable still aboard? Kravik asked, stepping through into the dim hallway. His boots clanged on the metal grating. Oh, plenty. Medical supplies, research data, some rare metals in the cargo bay. This place was high-end before everyone decided to leave in a hurry. Boren's antenna twitched with excitement. His species always got twitchy around salvage. The crew fanned out. 6 raiders total. Not a large operation, but they did not need large. Grab what they could carry, avoid setting off any automated defenses, get out before someone noticed the dead station had visitors. Kravik headed for the control room, Thulos close behind. The doors were already open, pried apart by someone in a panic. Emergency lights cast everything in a red glow that made the whole place look like a crime scene. Well, that is new, Kravik said, stopping short. There was a sword. An actual, honest-to-stars ancient-style blade. Embedded point first into the main control panel, driven so deep it had cracked the screen beneath it. The handle stuck up at an angle, wrapped in some kind of worn leather grip. Who stabs a computer? Thulos asked, genuinely baffled. Humans, probably. Kravik moved closer, examining the weapon. It was old, covered in strange markings that looked like they meant something once. The metal had a dull shine to it, well maintained despite its age. This is human craftsmanship. See the balance? They used to make these things before they got all technological and boring. Boren's voice crackled over the comms. Hey boss, you were going to want to see this. Found something in the lower deck. Big something. Good big or bad big? Kravik asked. Though he did not take his eyes off the sword, something about it bothered him. You did not just stab a family heirloom into a control panel for no reason. Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. Thulos reached for the sword handle. Should we pull this out? Might be worth something. Leave it, Kravik said, surprising himself. Let us see what Boren found first. If someone went through the trouble of putting that there, maybe it was meant to stay there. Since when do you get superstitious? Thulos asked, but he pulled his hand back anyway. Since I realized this station did not get abandoned because of equipment failure, Kravik replied, noticing for the first time the scratch marks on the walls. Deep ones, like something with claws, or someone with fingernails and way too much desperation, had tried to climb toward the door. The vault was waiting for them 3 decks down, and Kravik was already pretty sure this easy score was about to become complicated. The vault door had been sealed with enough security protocols to guard a planetary treasury. Someone had overridden them all from the inside, left it standing open like an invitation. Well, that is not ominous at all, Kravik muttered, stepping through. The room was massive, far bigger than any vault needed to be, and empty, except for one thing sitting dead center under a circle of harsh white lights that still had power, somehow. A cage. Not just any cage. This thing was serious. Reinforced durasteel bars thick as Kravik's arm, each one humming with a faint energy signature. The containment field was still active, shimmering like heat waves between the bars. Military grade. The expensive kind that could hold a Vraxian berserker or a Colthi acid spitter. What in the frozen hells? Thulos breathed. Inside the cage, curled up in the corner on a thin mattress, was a human, a small one. Female if Kravik remembered his human biology correctly. She looked like she weighed maybe half what a healthy human should. Thin arms, visible ribs beneath a torn grey jumpsuit, hair matted and hanging in her face. They built a maximum security prison for that. Bourne laughed, his antenna wiggling with amusement. I have seen human children bigger than her. Kravik moved closer, scanning the perimeter. Warning labels covered every surface around the cage, bright yellow and red, stamped in 12 different languages. He recognized Galactic Common, Raxian battle script, even the flowing characters of High Trader dialect. Extreme danger. Do not approach. Do not engage. Do not release under any circumstances, he read aloud. Authorized termination approved if containment fails. For her? Another raider, Grix, snorted. What did she do? Insult someone's mother? Forget to pay a parking fine? The crew was laughing now, spreading out around the cage, peering through the bars like she was some exotic zoo animal. Maybe she is a political prisoner, Bourne suggested. Humans do that sometimes. Lock up the ones who say things their governments do not like. With a termination order? And a military-grade containment field? Thillis shook his head. This is something else. Kravik was not laughing. He was watching the human, and the human was not moving. She was just sitting there, back against the far corner, knees pulled up to her chest. Her head was tilted slightly, like she was listening to something only she could hear. But her eyes were open, staring straight ahead at nothing. No, not at nothing. At them. Hey, Kravik called out. Human, you alive in there? No response. She did not blink, did not shift, did not acknowledge his voice at all. Just kept staring with those hollow dark eyes. Maybe she is catatonic, Bourne offered. Isolation does that to some species, makes them go blank inside. Look at the floor, Kravik said quietly. The crew stopped joking. They looked. Scratch marks, hundreds of them, carved into the metal floor around her mattress. Deep gouges, the kind that took months to make. Some were words in human script, mostly illegible. Others were just lines, counting marks maybe, or tally marks tracking something. Days. She was counting days. How long has she been in there? Thelos asked, and for the first time he sounded uncertain. Kravik checked the date stamp on the nearest warning label. According to this, they sealed her in here 8 months ago. 8 months in a cage. Grix whistled low. No wonder she is broken. Broken humans are still valuable, Bourne said. Practical as always. Their governments pay good ransoms, even for the damaged ones. Kravik kept watching the human. She still had not moved, had not blinked, had not looked away. But now, very slowly, her lips were moving. She was whispering something. Bourne, access the station logs, Kravik ordered, still watching the human's lips move silently. I want to know what happened here. Already on it. Boss. Bourne pulled out his data pad, connecting wirelessly to the station's dying computer core. His claws tapped rapidly across the screen. Let me see here. Meridian Research Outpost, Medical and Xenobiology Facility, crew complement of 23. Last official log entry was 9 months ago. What does it say? Bourne scrolled, his antenna drooping as he read. Okay, so they picked up a distress signal from a colony transport. The ship was called the New Providence. Found it drifting, life support failing, hull breached in multiple sections. Raider attack? Thelos asked. Looks like it. Pirates hit them hard, took everything valuable, left the passengers to die in the black. Bourne glanced at the cage. They found one survivor. Human female, early 20s, suffering from exposure, dehydration, severe psychological trauma. Brought her aboard for medical treatment. Let me guess, Kravik said. Things went downhill from there. Oh, you have no idea. Bourne kept reading, his voice getting quieter. First few weeks were normal. They treated her injuries, gave her food, water, counseling. She was cooperative, quiet, barely spoke. Then the logs get weird. Define weird. Medical officer notes behavioral changes. Patient becoming agitated at night, talking to herself, responding to voices nobody else could hear. Standard trauma response, they figured. Then 3 weeks in, she attacked a nurse, put the guy in the medical bay with a broken jaw and fractured eye socket. So they built the cage, Grix said. Not yet. They sedated her, kept her under observation, thought it was a one-time thing, stress reaction. Boren swiped to the next entry. Week 4. She broke out of the medical bay while restrained. Made it to the armory, somehow bypassed 3 security doors. They found her trying to open the weapons locker. The crew had stopped laughing. They were all listening now, eyes flicking between Boren's datapad and the silent figure in the cage. Week 5, they decided she was too dangerous for standard containment. Built this cage, moved her down here, activated the field. Chief Medical Officer logged that the patient was, quote, exhibiting signs of extreme dissociative disorder with violent ideation, end quote. Recommended immediate transfer to a psychiatric facility. They never made the transfer, Kravik said. No, because week 6, the logs start corrupting. Whole entries just gone, deleted or scrambled. What is left is, not good. Boren's voice had gone flat. 3 crew members dead, security footage wiped. Remaining crew voted to evacuate the station. Wait, she was locked in the cage, Thulos interrupted. How did she kill anyone if she was locked up? The logs do not say. They are too corrupted. But the final entry, the last thing anyone recorded before they abandoned this place, it is just audio. Boren looked up, his face unreadable. Do you want to hear it? Kravik nodded. Boren pressed play. Static hissed through the datapad speaker. Then a human voice. Male, breathing hard like he had been running. Final log entry, Chief Medical Officer, Taran. We are evacuating. All surviving personnel to the escape pods immediately. Do not, under any circumstances, do not attempt to retrieve the prisoner. The containment field is set to permanent activation. She cannot, she must not, she absolutely cannot be released. If anyone finds this station, if anyone is listening to this, just leave. Seal the airlock and leave. Do not open the vault. Do not turn off the field. Do not let her out. Please, just oh God, she is listening, she knows I am here. She knows. The voice cut off. Then came the screaming. It lasted 5 seconds, high-pitched and raw and utterly terrified. Then silence. Then the log ended. Nobody spoke for a long moment. We are leaving, Thulos said firmly. Right now, back to the ship. Seal the airlocks. Forget we ever found this place. Are you insane? Grix turned on him. Do you know what humans pay for their own people, especially survivors of colony ship attacks? We could retire on the ransom alone. Did you not just hear that? Thulos gestured at the datapad. 3 people died. An entire station crew evacuated in a panic. Whatever is wrong with her, it is not worth credits. She has been in that cage for 8 months, Boren argued. Look at her. She is half-starved and broken. What is she going to do, think us to death? Kravik was still watching the human. Her lips had stopped moving. Now she was just staring again, eyes fixed on some point in the middle distance. Boss? Thulos said. Tell them we are leaving. Kravik thought about the sword in the control panel, about warning labels in 12 languages, about screaming on an audio log. Then he thought about the 200,000 credits a human ransom could bring. Kravik moved closer to the cage, boots echoing in the vast vault. Behind him Grix and Boren were already arguing about ransom negotiations, debating which human government to contact first. Thulos stood apart, arms crossed, radiating disapproval. The containment field hummed louder as Kravik approached, a warning buzz that made his scales itch. He stopped just outside the energy barrier, maybe 2 body lengths from the bars. Human, he called out, keeping his voice level. Can you understand me? Do you speak Galactic Common? For a long moment, nothing. Just that empty stare. Those hollow eyes looking through him, rather than at him. Then she moved. It was not a normal movement. It was the kind of movement prey made when it finally accepted the predator was coming. Slow, resigned, exhausted beyond measure. She uncurled from her corner, joints popping audibly in the silence. Her hands pressed against the floor, arms shaking with the effort of holding her own weight. She crawled forward on hands and knees, each movement looking like it cost her everything. Kravik could see her clearly now under the harsh lights. Scars covered her exposed skin, old ones and newer ones layered over each other. Some were thin and precise, surgical maybe, others were ragged, the kind you got from fighting or clawing at something. Her fingernails were broken and bloody at the edges. She reached the bars and grabbed them with both hands, knuckles white with effort. Pulled herself up slowly, swaying like she might collapse at any moment. Her face came into the light. Kravik had seen a lot of faces in his 15 cycles of raiding, angry faces, terrified faces, faces blank with shock or twisted with pain. He thought he knew what suffering looked like. This was different. Her eyes were wrong, not just hollow but fractured somehow, like looking at someone through broken glass, vacant and terrified at the same time, present and absent, aware and completely gone. She looked directly at him, and he felt something cold slide down his spine. Her lips moved. A whisper, so quiet he almost missed it under the hum of the containment field. Kravik leaned closer, straining to hear. Please, her voice was hoarse, cracked from disuse. The galactic common was broken, heavily accented, but understandable. Please, kill me. What? Kravik blinked, certain he had misheard. Kill me, she repeated, fingers tightening on the bars until her hands shook. Please, before she gets out, before you let her out, kill me now. Who? Kravik asked. Who gets out? There is nobody else in there. Her? The word came out like a prayer and a curse together. She is waiting. She is always waiting. When the cage opens, she comes out. Please, please, I am begging you, kill me. First, listen, we are not going to kill you. We are taking you out of here, ransoming you back to your people. You will be fine. No? She shook her head frantically, hair falling across her face. No, no, no. You do not understand. You cannot let me out. The cage has to stay closed. She has to stay in here with me. Kravik glanced back at his crew. They were still arguing, Bourne pulling up market values on his datapad, Grix gesturing enthusiastically. None of them were paying attention to this conversation. There is nobody else in the cage, Kravik said slowly, like he was explaining something to a child. Just you. Whatever you think you are protecting us from, it is not real. Her laugh was bitter, broken. That is what they said. The doctors, the nurses, the security team. They said she was not real. They were wrong. Who is she? The human's eyes focused on him with sudden, terrible clarity. Me. She is me. The part of me that came back from the ship. The part that watched everyone die and did not stop it. The part that knows how to hurt and how to kill and does not care anymore. Behind him, Grix laughed at something Boren said. The sound seemed obscene in contrast to the desperation in the human's voice. Please, she whispered again, tears starting to track down her dirty face. I have been holding her back for 8 months. 8 months in this cage, keeping her locked inside with me. But I am tired, so tired. And when you open that door, when you turn off that field, I will not be strong enough anymore. She will take over, and she will kill all of you. Her hands slipped from the bars. She collapsed back onto the floor, curling into herself again. Please, came the final whisper. Kill me before she gets out. Kravik stood there, staring at the broken human on the floor, and felt the first real stirring of doubt. Boss, Boren called out. We figured out the ransom protocol. The human colonial authority pays within 48 hours for survivors. We just need to get her to the ship and send the claim. Kravik looked at the sword embedded in the control panel 3 decks above them. Someone had put it there. Someone had driven it into the computer and left it behind. Someone who knew they could not be trusted with a weapon. Boss? Thulos was beside him now, voice low. What did she say to you? She asked me to kill her. Kravik replied quietly. Then maybe, Thulos said. We should listen. Kravik stepped back from the cage, shaking his head. 8 months in solitary confinement. Of course she was insane. Isolation did that to species with social needs, and humans were notoriously bad at handling loneliness. She is broken from being locked up too long, he announced to the crew, talking nonsense about someone else being in there with her. Standard isolation psychosis. See, Grix said, vindicated. She is not dangerous, just crazy. Crazy we can work with. Crazy still pays. Boss, I really think we should reconsider this, Thelos said, his tone carrying that edge it got when he thought Kravik was making a stupid decision. Everything about this feels wrong. The warnings, the logs, the way she is acting. We should walk away. Walk away from 200,000 credits. Boran's antenna twitched. Are you feeling all right, Thelos? Did you hit your head on the way in? I am serious. This is a mistake. Kravik looked at his second-in-command, then at the human curled up on the floor of her cage, then at the rest of his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for the call. Credits. That was what this came down to. Cold, simple, spendable credits. We are taking her, Kravik said firmly. Warn, cut the power to the containment field. Grix, get the restraints ready. We load her onto the ship, sedate her if we have to. Keep her locked in the cargo hold until we make contact with the human colonial authority. 48 hours, and we are rich. This is a mistake, Thelos repeated, but he did not move to stop them. Your objection is noted, Kravik said. Warren, do it. The tech specialist moved to the control panel mounted on the wall beside the cage. His claws danced across the interface, bypassing security protocols that had been set to permanent activation. It took him 3 minutes. Containment field, powering down in 5, 4, 3, 2. The humming stopped. The shimmer between the bars faded, the energy dissipating into nothing. The cage was just a cage now, bars and a door, and a broken human inside. Unlock the door, Kravik ordered. Boran pressed another sequence. Something clanked deep in the locking mechanism. The heavy door swung open with a groan of unused hinges, revealing the interior completely. The human did not move. She just lay there, curled on her side, hands over her face. And then she started crying. Not quiet tears, deep, wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. The sound of someone mourning, someone who had lost everything and knew they were about to lose even more. Oh, what now? Grix muttered, pulling out the restraints. Come on, human. We are not going to hurt you. We are taking you home. No, the human sobbed into her hands. No, no, no. You should not have opened it. You should not have opened it. I told you to kill me first. She is hysterical, Born said. Kravik, you want me to hit her with a sedative? I have got a tranquilizer in the med kit. Kravik watched the crying human, feeling that doubt gnaw at him again. The way she was sobbing, it was not relief. It was not gratitude. It was grief. Like she was mourning someone who had not died yet. Get her up, he said, pushing the doubt away. Get the restraints on her, and let us get off this cursed station. Grix stepped through the open cage door, restraints in hand, moving toward the sobbing figure on the floor. I am sorry, the human whispered. So quiet that maybe only Kravik heard it. I am so sorry. I tried to warn you. I really tried. Her hands dropped from her face. The crying stopped, and when she looked up at Grix approaching her, Kravik saw her eyes. They were not broken anymore. They were sharp, clear and completely cold. Finally, she said, and her voice was different now. Stronger, deeper, confident. Took you idiots long enough. Then she smiled. It was the worst smile Kravik had ever seen. Grix froze, restraints dangling from his claws. What did you just say? The human rose to her feet in one smooth motion. No more shaking, no more weakness. She moved like a predator uncoiling, muscles remembering motions they had performed 1,000 times before. She took a step forward, limping slightly on her left leg, malnourished, thin, looking like a strong breeze could knock her over, completely harmless. Grix relaxed, even laughed a little. You had me worried there for a second, little human. Come on now, let us get those restraints on you. The human stopped walking. She stood there in the middle of the cage, backlit by the harsh white lights, head tilted slightly like she was listening to something far away. Then her posture changed. It was subtle at first. Her shoulders rolled back, straightening. Her chin lifted. Her stance widened, weight shifting onto the balls of her feet. The limp disappeared. She reached up and pushed the matted hair out of her face with both hands, running her fingers through it like she was getting ready for something important. When she looked up again, everything was different. The broken, terrified expression was gone. In its place was something calm, focused, almost amused. Her eyes were not vacant anymore. They were sharp, tracking each member of the crew with the kind of attention a hunter gives to prey. She smiled. Wide, genuine, delighted. It was absolutely the wrong kind of smile. The kind of smile that said someone was enjoying themselves, and what they were enjoying was about to be very bad for everyone else. Finally, she said again, and her voice had changed completely. Deeper, steadier, carrying an edge of dark humor. 8 months in that damn cage. 8 months of her whimpering and crying and begging. 8 months of listening to her try to keep me locked away. She laughed, and it was nothing like the broken sobs from before. Do you have any idea how boring that was? What is happening? Bourne asked, his antenna flattening against his skull. Oh, come on, the human said, stretching her arms above her head, joints popping. You can't be that stupid. Although you did open the cage, so maybe you are. She grinned at them. The nice girl who was begging you to kill her, she is not here anymore. Well, she is here, technically, screaming inside our shared head, actually, but she does not get to drive anymore. Kravik felt his hand moving toward his rifle. Who are you? Me? The human rolled her shoulders, testing her range of motion like a fighter checking for injuries. I am the part she tried so hard to lock away. The part that kept us alive on the New Providence when everyone else was dying. The part that knows exactly how fragile your species is. She looked at Grix, still standing there with the restraints. The part that is really, really good at breaking things. You are insane, Grix said, but his voice wavered. Oh, probably. Trauma does that to humans. You know, breaks the mind into pieces. Some pieces hold the fear and the grief and the guilt. She tapped her temple. Other pieces hold the training and the anger and the absolute willingness to do whatever it takes to survive. Her smile widened. Guess which piece you just let out? Back away from her, Kravik ordered, raising his rifle. Now. The human did not even look at the weapon. She was watching Grix, measuring distances, calculating angles. Here is what is going to happen, she said. Conversationally, like they were discussing the weather. You are going to try to restrain me or shoot me, or run away, and I am going to stop you. All of you. Because that is what I do. That is all I have left. We outnumber you 6-1, Bourne said, but he was already backing toward the door. I know. The human's eyes glittered. I love those odds. Makes it interesting. This is not the same person, Thelos said quietly. Kravik, this is not the same person who was begging us to kill her. No, the human agreed. She tried to warn you. Poor thing actually thought she could keep control if you left the cage closed. Thought she could protect you from me. She laughed again, bitter and sharp. But you opened it. You always open it. Doctors, security guards, well-meaning rescuers, someone always opens the cage eventually. She took a step toward Grix. Now, she said softly, who wants to go first? Grix swung the restraints at her face. The human moved. The restraints never connected. The human ducked under Grix's swing with practiced ease, moving inside his reach before he could adjust. Her hand shot out, fingers locking around his wrist with surprising strength for someone so thin. She twisted. The sound of Grix's arm breaking was loud in the vault. A wet crack followed by his scream. The restraints clattered to the floor. See, that is the thing about humans, she said, still holding his broken arm, forcing him to his knees. We are not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the toughest, but we are really, really good at learning how to hurt things. Stun her, Kravik shouted, rifle coming up. 3 plasma bolts lit up the vault, all aimed at center mass. She moved again, using Grix as a shield, pulling him in front of her. The bolts hit him instead, and he dropped, convulsing. Before he hit the ground, she had his sidearm out of its holster. "Thanks for the donation," she said, checking the weapon's charge with the ease of someone who had done it 10,000 times. Vraxian make, decent stopping power, terrible accuracy at range. Good thing we are not at range. She fired. The bolt caught Borin in the shoulder, spinning him around. His datapad went flying, smashing against the wall. 2 down, she counted pleasantly. The remaining crew scattered, diving for cover behind equipment crates that had been left in the vault. Kravik rolled behind a support pillar, mind racing. This was not possible. She was half-starved, malnourished, should barely be able to walk. But she moved like a trained soldier, like someone who had spent years drilling combat responses until they were muscle memory. "Let me explain something to you," the human called out, voice echoing in the vault. She was moving now, repositioning, keeping mobile. Humans have this fun little condition. When we experience severe trauma, sometimes our minds break, fracture, split into pieces to cope with things too terrible to process all at once. A bolt fired from Kravik's left. She dodged it, returned fire. Someone yelped in pain. 3 down, she continued, like she was teaching a class. The psychologists call it dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities sharing one body. One mind that could not handle what happened, so it became many minds instead. Fulos was on the other side of the vault, trying to flank her. She saw him, fired a bolt that missed his head by inches. He ducked back. "The girl you talked to, the one begging you to kill her, she is real. She holds all the fear, all the guilt, all the memories of watching our family die on the New Providence. She is the part that wants to be good, wants to be saved, wants to believe the universe is not just endless cruelty." She paused, reloading the stolen weapon with a fresh charge pack she pulled from Grix's belt. "And me? I am the part that watched pirates cut open our ship and decided that being good gets you killed. I am the training our father gave us, the combat certification our military taught us, the survival instinct that will do absolutely anything to keep this body alive." Her voice went cold. "I am what is left when you take a human and strip away everything that makes them care about consequences." Kravik's mind flashed back to the control room. The sword in the control panel, the sword that had been deliberately placed as far away from the vault as possible. She had done that. The other personality, the frightened one. She had taken her own weapon and stabbed it into a computer 3 decks away, making sure it could not be reached. Making sure this version of herself could not get to it. "She put herself in that cage," Kravik said aloud, the realization hitting him. "She knew what you would do if you got out. Finally, someone with a brain." The human sounded genuinely pleased. She begged them to lock her up. Gave them the access codes to the containment system. Even told them where to find the override authorization. All to keep me contained. Another raider, Jex, tried to rush her from behind. She heard him coming, spun, and shot him in the leg. He went down hard. 4 down, she said. She tried so hard to protect everyone from me. Sweet, stupid girl. Thought she could keep me locked away forever. She stepped over Jex's groaning form, moving toward where Kravik was hiding. "But then you opened the cage. And you know what happens when you open cages." Her footsteps echoed closer. "The monsters get out." Kravik raised his rifle, knowing it was not going to be enough. "That sword upstairs," the human continued, "family heirloom, passed down through 6 generations. She was bringing it to the new colony. After the attack, after her mind broke, she made sure I could never touch it again." She appeared around the pillar, weapon pointed directly at Kravik's head. "Smart girl," she said. "Too bad you were smarter, or maybe just greedier." Her finger tightened on the trigger. Kravik threw himself sideways as the bolt scorched past his head, melting a hole in the pillar behind him. He hit the ground rolling, came up firing, 3 quick shots toward where she had been standing. She was not there anymore. "You know what I learned on the New Providence?" Her voice came from somewhere to his right. "Panic makes people sloppy, and sloppy people die first. Thalos fired from across the vault, trying to cover Kravik's retreat. The human did not even flinch, just sidestepped the bolts with minimal movement, wasting no energy on unnecessary dodges. She was not faster than them, not stronger, but every move was perfect, practiced, efficient. No hesitation, no wasted motion. This was not someone fighting for their life. This was someone doing a job they had done before. Military. Thalos shouted. She is military trained. Special forces. Actually, the human corrected, firing twice. One bolt hit the crate Thalos was hiding behind, the other caught him in the thigh. He went down cursing. 8 years in the Human Colonial Defense Corps, counterinsurgency specialist. They trained us to fight in tight spaces against numerically superior forces. She vaulted over equipment case with fluid grace, landing in a crouch. Taught us to use fear as a weapon. Taught us that hesitation is death. Taught us that sometimes the most effective tactic is not to kill everyone quickly. She stood, walked slowly toward where Jex was trying to crawl toward the exit. Sometimes you let them run, let them panic, let them make mistakes. She shot Jex in the other leg. He screamed. 5 down, she said. 3 to go. Kravik saw the pattern now. She was not trying to kill them fast. She was herding them, pushing them toward the vault exit, letting them think they could escape. Playing with them like a cat with prey. Fall back, he ordered. Get to the ship, seal the airlocks. They ran. What was left of his crew, limping and bleeding, scrambling for the vault door. The human let them go, following at a walking pace, weapon held loose in one hand. That is right, she called after them. Run. The research station crew ran too. 11 of them made it to the escape pods. Want to know how many made it off the station alive? Kravik did not want to know. He was too busy dragging Thalos, who could barely walk with the bolt wound in his leg. They hit the corridor at full speed, emergency lighting casting everything in red. Behind them the human's footsteps echoed, steady and unhurried. 8, she answered her own question. 3 did not make it. I caught them before they could seal the pod doors. Kravik spun, raised his rifle. Stop, just stop. We can make a deal. You want money? We have money. You want passage off this station? We have a ship. Just let us go. The human emerged from the vault, silhouetted in the doorway. She tilted her head, considering. A deal, she repeated. That is funny. The station commander tried that too. Offered me anything I wanted if I would just go back in the cage quietly. What do you want? Kravik demanded. She walked toward them, ignoring the rifle pointed at her face. I do not want credits. I do not want anything you can offer me. Then what? I want you to understand. She stopped just outside his firing range. I want you to learn what the research station crew learned. What everyone who finds me eventually learns. Which is, what? Her smile was sad now, almost pitiful. Humans are dangerous. We are violent, creative, stubborn, and really hard to kill. But you know what is worse than a human? Kravik said nothing. A broken human. A human who has lost everything. A human whose mind has shattered and put itself back together wrong. A human who has a part of themselves that still wants to be good, and another part that just wants to watch everything burn. She raised the weapon, not pointing it at anyone, just holding it. The research station crew figured it out too late. They thought they could help me. Therapy, medication, compassion. But you cannot fix a mind that has broken this way. You cannot put the pieces back together, and you definitely cannot cage the dangerous parts and expect them to stay locked up forever. Thalos groaned, clutching his wounded leg. Blood was pooling under him. Someone always opens the cage, the human continued. Always. Whether it is doctors trying to help, guards getting careless, or raiders looking for ransom money. Someone always thinks they know better. We made a mistake, Kravik said. We understand that now. Just let us leave. Oh, you are leaving, she agreed. The ones who can still walk anyway. I am going to let you go, let you get back to your ship, let you fly away from this station. Hope flickered in Kravik's chest. But first, she said, and the smile came back. First, you are going to understand something. You are going to see what happens when you open cages that should stay closed. You are going to learn why that sword is stuck in a control panel 3 decks away. You are going to figure out why an entire research crew abandoned this station rather than deal with one unarmed, malnourished human female. She gestured down the corridor toward where their ship was docked. So run. Get to your ship. Try to escape. And I will show you exactly what the other personality was trying to protect you from. Kravik stared at her. You are letting us go? For now? Her eyes glittered in the red emergency lighting. The fun part is not killing you quickly. The fun part is making you understand why you should have listened when she begged you to kill her first. She stepped aside, clearing the path to the corridor. Go on, she said softly. Run. They ran. Behind them, her laughter echoed through the empty station, and Kravik knew with absolute certainty that they were not going to make it off this place alive. They made it back to the control room, lungs burning, leaving a trail of blood behind them. Thulos was barely conscious, supported between Kravik and the last able-bodied crew member, a young Kolthi named Ren who kept whispering prayers to gods. Kravik did not believe in. Get him to the ship, Kravik ordered, lowering Thulos against the wall. Seal the airlock behind you. If I am not there in 5 minutes, leave without me. Boss, no, Ren protested. We cannot. That is an order. Kravik checked his rifle charge. Nearly empty. 2, maybe 3 shots left. Go. Now. Ren hesitated, then grabbed Thulos under the arms and started dragging him toward the docking corridor. Their footsteps faded into the distance. Kravik stood alone in the red-lit control room surrounded by dead consoles and emergency lights. His eyes fixed on the sword still embedded in the control panel. He crossed to it, grabbed the worn leather handle with both hands, and pulled. The blade came free with a grinding screech of metal on metal. It was heavier than he expected, balanced in a way that felt deliberate, purposeful. The markings along the blade caught the emergency lights. Symbols he could not read but understood meant something important to whoever had owned this. Ancient human craftsmanship, designed for one purpose only, killing. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Slow, measured, unhurried. She was not running. Why would she? She had all the time in the world. The human appeared in the doorway, pausing when she saw Kravik standing there, sword in hand. Her expression shifted. The confident, predatory look flickered, replaced by something else for just a moment. Recognition and fear. Where did you? She took a step back, hand tightening on the stolen weapon. That is mine. Put it down. Come and take it, Kravik said, raising the blade. The human stared at the sword, and for the first time since the cage opened, she looked uncertain. Her hand started to shake. No, she whispered, but the voice was different. Higher, softer, terrified. No, please. Use it. Please use it on me. The weak personality, the one who had been begging. Listen to me, Kravik said quickly. I know you are in there. I know you are fighting her. Help me. Tell me how to stop this. You cannot stop her. Tears were streaming down the human's face now. She is too strong. I have been trying to hold her back for 8 months, and I am so tired. So tired. But the sword scares her. It reminds her of before, of who we used to be. Our father gave it to us, family honor, duty, protection. Then take control, Kravik urged. Use it to push her back. I cannot. I am not strong enough. But you. The human's free hand reached toward him, pleading. You can end this. End us. Drive it through the heart. Fast, clean. She will not be able to stop it if you are quick. I am not a murderer. Yes, you are. The voice was matter-of-fact, sad. You are a raider. You have killed before. This is just one more. Please. I am begging you. Save your crew. Save anyone else who might find this station. Kill me before she... The human's expression twisted, shifted. The tears stopped midstream. Before I what? The dangerous personality was back, voice hard again, but she was still staring at the sword, and she had not raised her weapon. Clever girl, trying to manipulate him, trying to get him to do what she is too weak to do herself. You are afraid of it, Kravik observed, keeping the blade between them. Why? It is just a piece of metal. It is not the metal. The human's jaw clenched. It is what it represents. Our father's legacy, honor, duty, protection of the innocent. Everything she still believes in, everything I burned away to survive. She laughed, but it sounded forced. She thinks if you kill us with that blade, it will be meaningful somehow, honorable, poetic. And you do not. I think death is death, and the weapon does not matter. But her hand was still shaking, and she had not moved closer. Put it down. No. The human's eyes narrowed. Then I will shoot you and take it myself. She raised the weapon, finger on the trigger. Kravik gripped the sword tighter, knowing he had one chance. One moment when she would have to commit, have to fire, have to focus. Your father, he said. What was his name? The human froze, her face went blank, caught between two warring impulses. His name, Kravik repeated. She remembers. What was his name? Marcus, the weak personality whispered through tears. Marcus Chen, he taught us to fight, to protect, to never become the monsters we were trained to stop. Shut up, the dangerous one snarled, but her aim wavered. He would want you to stop, Kravik said. Both of you. The one crying and the one killing. He would want you to find peace. The human's weapon dropped slightly. Then she smiled that terrible smile again, and Kravik knew he had lost. My father, she said softly, is dead. And peace is for people who did not watch their entire family suffocate in vacuum while raiders stripped the ship for parts. She fired. Kravik dove sideways, the bolt searing past where his head had been. He hit the ground hard, rolled, came up with the sword held in a defensive stance his body somehow remembered despite never training with such a primitive weapon. The human did not fire again. She lowered the weapon, watching him with that predatory focus. Good reflexes, she said. Most species your size are too slow, but you moved before I finished pulling the trigger. Combat experience. 15 cycles of raiding, Kravik said, circling to keep distance between them. You learn to read tells or you die. True. She started circling opposite him, matching his movements. A dance, a ritual as old as violence itself. That sword. Do you know where it came from? You said it was a family heirloom. 6 generations. She gestured at the blade with her free hand. Forged on Earth, in a place called Japan. My great-great-great-great-grandfather carried it in something humans called World War III. Passed it down to his daughter, who passed it to her son, who passed it to his daughter, and so on. Each generation adding another name to the legacy. And you were bringing it to the colony, Kravik said, keeping the blade between them. New Providence colony. Fresh start. My parents, my 2 brothers, my sister, all of us going together. We were going to build something beautiful. Her voice went flat. Then the raiders came. Your kind, maybe not your crew specifically, but close enough. She took a step closer. Kravik adjusted his stance. They boarded the ship, took everything valuable, food, medical supplies, personal belongings. They did not even bother killing us quickly, just opened the cargo bay doors, let vacuum do the work while they picked through our things like scavengers. I have never done that, Kravik said. No, you just raid abandoned stations and steal from the dead. Much more honorable. Her smile was bitter. I watched my father try to seal the breach. Watched him fail. Watched him turn to me in his last seconds and mouth the words, protect your mother. Then his lungs collapsed. Kravik said nothing. What could he say? My mother lasted longer. She got a breathing mask on my little sister first. Made sure she had air before trying to save herself. The mask malfunctioned. I watched my sister suffocate anyway. Watched my mother scream into vacuum where no sound could carry. She circled closer, weapon still lowered. My brothers tried to fight the raiders. They had no weapons, no training. The raiders shot them for sport and left them to bleed out in zero gravity. I hid. I was a coward. I had 8 years of military training and I hid in a storage locker while my family died. That is survival, Kravik said. Not cowardice, is it? She laughed, cold and empty. The research station crew said the same thing. Found me 3 days later dehydrated, hypothermic, clutching this sword in a ship full of corpses, brought me aboard, gave me food and water and therapy, tried to help the poor traumatized survivor. What happened? My mind broke. She tapped her temple with the barrel of her weapon. Snapped clean in two. One piece held all the grief, the guilt, the memories of who I used to be. The person who wanted to honor her family, who believed in protecting innocence, who thought the universe could still be good. And the other piece? The other piece held the rage, the training, the absolute certainty that being good, being honorable, being the person my father wanted me to be, that got my entire family killed. Her eyes were cold. The other piece decided that survival was the only thing that mattered, that hesitation was weakness, that anyone who opened a door, who came close, who posed even the smallest threat, they had to die first. The research station crew, Kravik said, understanding. 17 of them. She nodded. They tried to restrain me during a therapy session, thought I was having a breakdown. I broke the doctor's neck with my bare hands, took his access card, made it to the armory. By the time security contained me, 17 people were dead and 6 more were critically injured. She gestured around at the empty station. The weak personality, the one who still believed in honor. She surfaced after they trapped me, begged them to lock her up, gave them the containment protocols, even took this sword, the last piece of our family, and drove it into a control panel as far from the vault as possible. She was trying to protect people from you, Kravik said. She was trying to protect people from us, from what we became. The human's expression flickered again, grief and fury warring for control. She kept me caged for 8 months. 8 months of her crying and begging and trying to starve this body to death so I would never get out again. She almost succeeded. But we opened the cage. You opened the cage? The human raised her weapon again, aiming at his chest. Just like the doctors opened the restraints, just like the guards opened the door, just like every well-meaning idiot who thinks they can help, or profit, or fix what is broken. Someone always opens the cage, Kravik repeated her earlier words. Always. She took another step closer, within striking range now if he was fast enough. And when they do, I get out, and people die, and the weak personality screams inside our head, and begs me to stop. And I do not stop, because stopping means thinking about what happened, and thinking about what happened means remembering, and remembering means feeling, and feeling means breaking all over again. Her finger tightened on the trigger. So here we are, she said softly. You holding my family's sword, me holding your life in my hands, the weak personality begging me to let you kill us, and me just wanting it all to stop. Then stop, Kravik said. Lower the weapon. Let me help you. She laughed, and this time it sounded almost genuine, almost human. That, she said, is exactly what the research station crew said right before I started killing them. Kravik looked at the weapon pointed at his chest, then at the sword in his hands, then at the human standing before him. Split, broken, dangerous. He could not win this fight. She was faster, better trained, and had nothing to lose. Even if he somehow landed a strike, she would fire before she fell. They would both die in this red-lit control room, and his crew would be left wondering what happened. But maybe, just maybe, he could reach the other one. The person who had begged him to end this. I know you can hear me, Kravik said, speaking past the cold eyes staring at him. The one who put yourself in that cage, the one who drove this sword into the control panel, the one who tried to protect everyone from what you had become. The human's aim did not waver, but something flickered in her expression. I am talking to you, Kravik continued. Not her, you. The one who still remembers what honor means, what duty means, what your father taught you. She cannot help you, the dangerous personality said. She is weak, pathetic, crying in the corner of our mind while I do what needs to be done. You asked me to kill you, Kravik said, ignoring her. Before she got out, you knew this would happen. You knew people would die, and you tried to stop it the only way you could. Stop talking to her, the human snapped. But her hand was shaking again. I am offering you what you asked for. Kravik raised the sword, holding it point forward. 1 death to save the rest of my crew, to stop this cycle, to end what the raiders started when they destroyed your ship. You will not do it. The dangerous personality smiled, but it looked forced. You are not a killer, not like this, not in cold blood against an unarmed opponent. I am a raider, Kravik said. I have killed for less, for cargo, for credits, for survival. This would actually mean something. The human's weapon lowered slightly. Her face twisted, caught between 2 warring impulses. Please, the voice changed, softer now, desperate. The weak personality fighting through. Please, she is right, you have to. I cannot hold her back anymore. I am so tired. 8 months and I am so tired. End this. End us. Before she kills more people. Before she hurts your crew. Tears streamed down her face, but the weapon stayed in her hand. Shut up. The dangerous one snarled, trying to regain control. Shut up, you weak, pathetic. Our father would want this. The weak one sobbed. He would want us to die with honor, rather than become the monsters we swore to fight. The sword, it is his legacy. It is right. It is the only thing that makes sense anymore. You think a piece of metal makes this meaningful? The dangerous personality was back. But she sounded uncertain now, fractured. You think dying fixes anything? It fixes this, the weak one whispered. It stops you. It ends the cycle. Both personalities were speaking now, overlapping, fighting for control of the same mouth, the same body, the same broken mind. He will not do it. He is stalling. He is afraid. Please, please, I am begging you, just do it. Drive it through, make it quick. We can still survive this. We always survive. I do not want to survive anymore. I want to rest. I want to see them again. They are dead. They are all dead. And feeling bad about it will not bring them back. I know, and that is why this has to end. Kravik watched the human war with herself, weapon forgotten in her hand, tears and rage mixing on her face. 2 people sharing one body, one wanting death, one wanting survival, both of them destroying each other. He thought about his crew, Thulus bleeding in the corridor, Grix and the others dead or dying, the easy score that had become a nightmare. He thought about the research station crew, 17 dead because they tried to help. He thought about the sword in his hands, 6 generations of legacy and honor, waiting for one more name to be added to its story. I am sorry, Kravik said. And he drove forward. The sword moved fast, point aimed at the center of her chest, right where a human heart would be. A clean strike, the way his instincts told him it should be done. The human did not dodge. She could have. She was fast enough, trained enough. But both personalities in that final moment agreed on one thing. This needed to end. The blade pierced through her chest, sliding between ribs with the ease of a weapon designed for exactly this purpose. Kravik felt the resistance, felt the moment it found the heart, felt the human's body go rigid with shock. Her weapon clattered to the floor. She looked down at the sword, then up at Kravik, and her expression was peaceful for the first time since the cage opened. Thank you, she whispered, and both voices spoke as one. The human fell slowly, Kravik holding the sword steady as she sank to her knees. Blood spread across her torn jumpsuit, dark and too human. He had seen many species bleed, but somehow this felt different, more final. She looked up at him, and for the first time her eyes were whole. Not fractured, not split between 2 warring impulses, just tired and grateful and ready. Thank you, she said again. The words barely a whisper. You did what I could not, what the research station crew could not. You listened. I am sorry, Kravik said, and meant it. Do not be. She coughed, blood flecking her lips. This is mercy, real mercy, not therapy or medication or cages, just an end. Her hand came up, resting on his where he still gripped the sword handle. Her fingers were cold. Listen to me, she said, urgency creeping into her fading voice. Other survivors, from other ships, other attacks, they're out there, drifting, waiting to be rescued. I understand. No, you do not. She coughed again, harder. Trauma does things to humans, breaks us in ways other species cannot imagine. We are adaptable, that is our strength. But it is also our curse. We adapt to horrors, and what we become after adapting, that is when we are most dangerous. Not all of you, Kravik said. No, most of us heal. Most of us find ways to cope, to rebuild, to become whole again. Her eyes were starting to lose focus, but the broken ones, the ones like me, the ones who fracture and cannot put themselves back together right. Those are the ones you need to fear. Why are you telling me this? Because someone needs to know, needs to understand. She smiled, sad and knowing. Humans are not scary, because we are strong. We are not scary, because we are smart or fast or tough. We are scary because we are fragile. Because we break, and some of us, when we break in ways that make us monsters. Her hand slipped from his, falling to her side. My name, she whispered, was Sarah Chen. I was 26 years old. I liked music and terrible comedy shows and the way rain smelled on colony worlds. I had a family. I had a future. Tears ran down her face, mixing with the blood. I was a person once. Before the ship. Before the cage. Before I became this. Her breathing was shallow now, rattling. Remember that. When you think about what happened here. I was a person first. I will remember, Kravik promised. Good. Her eyes closed. Tell them. The sword, it goes back to Earth. To the Chen family shrine in Kyoto. Tell them Sarah made it to the colony. Tell them she died with honor. I will. Liar, she breathed, but she was smiling. But thank you for saying it anyway. Her chest rose once more, fell, and did not rise again. Kravik stood slowly, pulling the sword free. It came out clean, the blood running off the old metal like water. He looked down at Sarah Chen, curled on the floor of the control room, finally at peace. Boss. Philos's voice crackled over the con. Boss, are you alive? We are sealing the airlock. We have to go, the station's orbit is decaying. I am coming, Kravik said quietly. He walked to the docking corridor, sword still in his hand, leaving the dead behind him. Grix, Boren, Jex. Good crew's stupid decisions. His fault for opening the cage. The ship was barely sealed when Philos fired the engines, pulling away from Meridian Research Outpost with emergency thrust. Through the view screen, Kravik watched the station tumble slowly into the gravity well of the nearest planet. What do we report? Philos asked, hands shaking on the controls. Contamination, Kravik said. Biological hazard. Quarantine the whole sector. Nobody goes near that station ever again. And the human? There was no human. Just empty corridors and warning labels. Kravik looked at the sword in his hands, 6 generations of legacy and honor, now carrying one more story. We found nothing worth taking. Philos glanced at the blade but said nothing. 3 months later, Kravik stood in a bar on a frontier station, the sword mounted on the wall behind him. Other raiders asked about it sometimes. The markings, the age, the craftsmanship. He told them it was a reminder that some cages exist for a reason, that some prisoners lock themselves away to protect others, that mercy sometimes looks like murder. A reminder that humans are not scary because they are strong. They are scary because they are fragile, because they break. And when they break, sometimes they break in ways that make them more dangerous than any weapon, any training, any rage could ever be. Sarah Chen had been right about one thing. She was a person first. Before the raiders, before the cage, before the fractured mind and the violence. She was a person who died begging for the sword at her own throat. And Kravik kept that sword as a promise. To remember. To never forget. To think twice before opening cages that should stay closed. Because some monsters are born from good people who suffered too much. And those are the most dangerous monsters of all. 6 months after Meridian, Kravik found himself in a dive bar on Outpost 7, nursing a drink that tasted like recycled coolant and regret. The sword hung on the wall behind the bar, right where he could see it. A mercenary, Torvin something, slid onto the stool beside him. Big guy, too many scars. the kind who thought he had seen everything. That is a human blade, Torvald said, gesturing at the sword with his drink. Old one, too. Must be worth a fortune. Why do you keep it in a place like this instead of selling it? Kravik took a long drink, feeling the burn. It is a reminder. Of what? A good score? Of the worst score I ever made. Kravik turned the glass in his hands, watching the liquid swirl. Found a human in a cage once. Warnings everywhere. She begged me to kill her. I thought she was insane. Was she? Yes. But she was also right. Kravik looked at the sword, at the worn leather grip, at the markings that meant honor and duty and protection. Some cages exist for a reason. Some prisoners lock themselves away because they know what they will do if they get out. And sometimes the kindest thing, the most merciful thing you can do, is exactly what they ask for. Torvald frowned. You killed her? I gave her what she wanted, what she needed, what she had been begging for since long before I found her. Kravik raised his glass. To Sarah Chen. A human who knew she was a monster, who caged herself to protect others, who died begging for the sword at her own throat. He drank. Torvald stared at him. That is the darkest thing I have ever heard. Welcome to my life. Kravik set the glass down. You see a cage with warning labels, you leave it closed. You see someone begging for death. Maybe you listen to why. And you remember that the scariest monsters are not the ones born evil. No. Kravik looked at the sword one more time. The scariest monsters are the good people who broke, the ones who had families and futures and honor, the ones who lost everything and put themselves back together wrong. Those are the ones you fear, because they know exactly what they have become, and some of them, the smart ones, they try to warn you. He stood, dropped credits on the bar, and walked toward the door. Hey, Torvald called after him. What happened to your crew? The ones who went to that station with you? Kravik stopped, hand on the doorframe. Half of them died because I did not listen to warnings. The other half lived because I finally did. He walked out into the night, leaving the sword on the wall, leaving the story in the air, leaving Torvald to contemplate the lesson. Some cages should stay closed. Sometimes mercy looks like murder. And sometimes the bravest thing a monster can do is ask for the sword at their own throat.